and welcome to our roundtable discussion today. Thanks, guys. Thank you. You have your scotch. So really, I am, as I told my friend Edward here, I'm really the most clueless guy here. I'm just the question guy today. So I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions, and let's just keep the conversation going. But I think the first thing we should do is introduce ourselves and what restaurant you represent, or what do you do actually. So starting with this gentleman to my left.
My name is Sandy Daza. I do restaurant food reviews for Inquirer. I have a food show called Footprints and just recently a cooking show called Casa Daza and a restaurant called Wooden Spoon.
You, sir?
Hi, my name is Kevin Te and I am from Frankie's and Don Lao.
Hi, my name is Danny and I'm from La Lola Group.
Lola, okay.
Hello, I'm Adrian and I'm from Mary Grace Cafe.
Of Enzimadas? I'm a fan.
Legendary.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Cyril Addison, and I currently do some consulting work with restaurants. Previously was with Raintree Restaurants and Manila House Private Club.
I am Raymond Martelino. I'm a practicing attorney and I represent restaurants, and I'm the corporate secretary of Mr. Kimbab, a Korean fast food chain, and Two Seasons Resorts and Hotels.
Goji Villano, Panoy's Vietnamese restaurant, and Do de Alberto, the only authentic Mexican taqueria.
Yeah.
Tacos, good tacos.
My name is Corinne. I am an F&B consultant. I used to work in the corporate space for over 25 years, covering US, Canada, Russia, Asia Pacific, and now back here in the Philippines as a consultant.
I'm John, consultant as well, chef consultant. I used to be head of R&D for the house and used to be corporate chef of this room.
Edward Bugia. I am the executive chef of two groups of restaurants, the Pino group of restaurants and Backyard Kitchen and Crew. I'm also a chef consultant. I used to be part of the Selecta team that would make the flavors for Selecta. And one of their consultants also for their restaurant group. So that's the Yabu, Ikudo, and Mighty Quincy.
Edward is normally not this serious. Okay. It's not that serious, guys. Okay, so the first question is a simple one. Well, sort of simple. What got you into the restaurant business? And there's just no. I mean, I'm not gonna say you start or whatever. Just start the conversation, and then we'll just intersperse it with other questions later on. So how did you get into the restaurant business?
Well, for me, it was a passion from a young age to cook, and when I went to the States, I decided that I was going to go to hospitality management school, and thought that being in a restaurant meant cooking. So I decided to start cooking. Worked in a French restaurant, and I was okay, but a very fast learner that I was not a very good cook. I was not very creative. But I had a passion for it. I had a passion for talking to people, and decided that I was going to be in the front of the house, and saw that that was my strong point. I love food. I eat a lot of good food. I've eaten at a lot of your places, but I'm more willing to talk about food than to actually cook food. So.
Yeah. Run after my own heart.
Yeah.
Anyone else like to share? How did you get into the?
Maybe pretty similar to Cyril. From a very young age, I'm really not into the food side of the business. I'm more into the entertaining and the experience and the marketing side of it. I studied hotel and hotel management, so it was in line. And while I was studying, I was also working as a waiter, and that's when I realized, and I saw all the back office and front office, and that's when I realized I think this is my place.
In front.
Yeah.
I think I'm the odd person on the table because technically I'm not in the food business per se because I'm a practicing attorney. But for some reason, we have attracted clients who are in the hospitality and the food business. And we have learned so much from our clients. So we try to pick the best practices from the experience and advise others and cascade this learning to everyone that we have encountered. We try to prevent as much as possible issues cropping up from one.
And there are a lot, of
And
course.
there are a lot.
As we all know.
Yes. Oftentimes we encounter the reaction of our clients that it's too late for them to hire someone and fix all the mess that they've started because
When you don't know what to do, first person to call.
The firefighter.
yes, most overlooked. I'm just happy to be here because at least there's that notion that hey, we need you or we need someone like this guy to help.
And anyone else like to share?
I stumbled upon it by accident. During the first coffee week, I was traveling abroad, vacationing, and that's when Starbucks was just expanding outside Seattle. And I thought what a great concept it was. People were opening little shops in their neighborhoods. So, I learned the business. I working at coffee shops for 6 months. And I started my first branch. Tuloy-tuloy na until I had several branches. But before that, I wanted to be an Air Force pilot. I still have the uniform.
Me also.
So you pick the more stressful profession, which is Air Force pilot's easy, right?
Spoken like a true food professional. Right?
Restaurateurs where you're really dogfighting. You wanted a challenge. Air Force pilot not enough.
Not enough of a challenge.
Well, my mother's story is more interesting than mine. Like the gentleman to my left, I'm also a practicing lawyer, so I handle the issues in our business that people don't want to normally tackle. But my mother is a housewife by training. She would like to bake birthday cakes for us children, her children, because she found the cakes back then to be outside her budget. It was red ribbon and Goldilocks. So she said, I'll just bake my own cakes. And that's where she cut her teeth. And also because her siblings, they would bring their families over for Sunday lunch. So she would cook. So that's where she learned not just to bake and cook, but also how to set the table, how to serve, how to do the timing of food coming out. And I think it was good training for her because there's no harsher critics than your family, right? They don't sugarcoat. They just say, this is terrible. Why are you feeding us this food? And so she'll go back, cry. Yeah, it's tough love, right? But it's what you have to hear. From there, she started to bake for neighbors, and then for friends, and then she joined bazaars, and then kiosks, and then because people asked her if they could have hot chocolate and coffee to go with the enchiladas and cheese rolls, she thought of opening a space of her own. That was our first cafe in Enderun, 2006.
Okay. Please serve yourself. Please serve yourself. Please. We have a lot of cheese and yes, please. Okay. There you go. Maybe you need some more alcohol.
Yes. To loosen up the conversation a little bit.
Thank you. More booze. Juice up. Okay. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay. Which is another interesting question. Actually, all our questions are pretty interesting. And this is especially for the more experienced ones who've been in this for a long time. What are the 3 things you wish someone told you before you open your restaurant?
Don't open a restaurant.
Don't. I know everyone's going to say that. Don't do it. I'm sure there are things that. What wisdom would you like to impart? Yes, ma'am.
I don't own a restaurant, but I used to work
One.
for people who own And I think one of the biggest mistakes that they do is invest in a restaurant brand and without any knowledge of the restaurant operations or of the business, and then just letting people without experience, relatives, and here in Asia, that's it's pretty much common.
Very common.
It's a common occurrence.
Yes.
And it leads to the downfall of the restaurant.
So you're talking about franchises, then usually.
Either family owned
Or family
or
owned, yeah.
franchise. And then another thing is not investing in people. Let's say, for example, you just hire somebody and then offer minimal salary because you don't want to spend competitive salary in hiring the right person. And then that person also mismanages your restaurant. You get what you pay for.
You get what you get.
So, and I think that's things that I've learned along the way, and location, of course, and that's very important. And it's not, and a lot of people, when they choose restaurant locations, and sometimes they just decide out of gut feel. There has to be a study behind it.
Yes.
There has to be a research
Statistics.
behind it. Yeah, and a lot of people, okay, well, I think there's a huge traffic in the mall, but then those might not be your target market.
You're hurting me with your words right now. I'm also a restaurant owner, so I know. But anyway, no, I'm not kidding actually. Maybe later. I need more drinks. No.
I think that's
Thank you.
But there's more.
I'm sure there's definitely a lot more. Perhaps from our more experienced restaurateurs, Mr. Chef Ed.
You need a very solid business background. You can't just know how to cook. A lot of people say, oh, you know what, your mom cooks really good meatloaf. Open a meatloaf shop. Does not make sense. Does not make sense. I know a guy from Thailand that's opened a Thai restaurant. Why? Right? You need a very, very solid business sense. Not necessarily, you don't go into a restaurant business saying, I have experience with restos. It's not, it doesn't follow usually. But as long as you have a very solid business sense, you know how to earn money, you know how to make money, you know where you can actually save, you know where you can actually earn more. I think that's the most crucial aspect of when you open a restaurant. There will be a lot of compromising, especially if, for example, for me, I'm also the head of recipe and menu development, so I have to make recipes. What if it's too expensive? What if it's hard to find? What if my beef comes from all the way in Bukidnon and, sometimes I can't find the actual product.
Are you?
I know. No, but sometimes you can't, oh, Ed, sorry, the cows didn't give birth this month.
Let's not name.
So you have to, you kind of have to understand these things. Very solid business background, and you have to eat a lot. You have to eat a lot everywhere. I went to Thailand for the first time, I think 2013. First and only time I've been there. I didn't even look at the temples. I didn't ride the elephants or anything. I just ate everywhere. I didn't know Gagan was going to be the #1 restaurant in the world. I just saw it. Hey, it looks nice. It's right. It's so expensive. But you have to eat a lot, eat everywhere, so you can train yourself and know what they're doing right and wrong. And that's how you make a very good restaurant.
I think also because the restaurant industry, and I'm sure you all are in agreement with this, is really in vogue right now. It's like everyone wants to do it. So that's a tough proposition for
Well, from my experience, I think I've learned that me as the owner of the restaurant, I have to know the recipes. I have to know how to do them. I have to know what they should taste like so that I can always taste for consistency. And I've learned also that there's no other palate that you can use except yours because you will not satisfy everyone. Some people say your food's salty, and I go to the kitchen, I taste. If it's okay with you, you just have different taste. Or doctor probably told them to cut down on their salt. Sometimes you look at them and I know, must be an elderly person who's been told to cut down to, lower the blood pressure or something.
Lower salt.
So there's no other palate you can use for this. So one thing I learned.
That's true.
I think one helpful thing, or one thing I wish my family knew before we got into the business is that if you're going to get into the restaurant business, say goodbye to holidays, vacation, right? Because when everyone's relaxing, it's Christmas season. That's when you're working, right? And you can't tell your customers we're going to close for Christmas. Or that's when they're out. That's when they need you. So if you're not ready to be there on those days, it's going to be tough to make it in the business.
Sacrifice.
Yes, it's a big sacrifice.
One of the things that I've learned is, you could have a great passion for a certain cuisine, or like for me, like I love Indian food, and I always want to open an Indian restaurant. But you have to really learn the market. Are they ready for it? Are they willing to go and spend money? Like what you said about being a business sense. Just because you like it doesn't mean everybody else will like it. People will be very finicky.
It's a side question. You think Manila's ready for all sorts of other cuisines?
I believe so, especially now. Like what the chef was saying about Gagan. He's number one in Asia. So people are starting to understand Indian food now. Maybe not the kind of food that he's making, but a more casual approach to it. And I think there's a lot more cuisines that are more, people are more interested in learning about. Filipinos travel more often now than what we used to do 5 years ago, 6 years ago. So they understand different cuisines, they understand the quality of the food. So they're definitely welcoming for it. But again, location is very important. Where you open it is important. I live in Capitolia. If I opened an Indian restaurant in Capitolia, nobody's going to go.
You can open an Indian carinderia.
Yeah.
Like Three Sisters?
Yeah, true. Yeah.
So I'm curious. I want to detour a bit to that. What do you think it works now? That's the big question. I think because so many people are opening restaurants. What are people looking for?
Good food and price.
Go down to that. So experimentation is not really.
I mean, there's an area for that, but in general, again, it's a business.
Yeah.
You want to make a lot of money. You go to the bigger market.
Right.
Yes.
Market segment, right?
Right.
From bigger market segment, than the more niche market. So again, it's value for money. Whatever, whether it's a fine dining, people, you can pay for a burger that's $50, and there's value for money there.
Yeah.
Or actually, no value for money there, and pay for a meal that's $5,000 pesos.
True.
Still find value. So.
And people know the difference between good and bad food. They're not, So they before people would just go eat in a restaurant for the sake of eating in a restaurant, but now they pick and choose. I mean, they have so many options now, so they pick and choose where they want to go, where they want to spend their money. If you have a certain amount of money that you spend every week in a restaurant and eating out, you pick and choose where you want to go. It's not just about the food, it's the experience of going to the restaurant. From the fact, can you park properly, to, are you so, do they take credit cards, do they not? I mean, everything matters. So it's an important factor, I think. So.
Okay, let's go to something a little more heartbreaking. Tell us about your mistakes. Tell us about what is your biggest mistake or your most expensive mistake. So we won't judge.
Oh well, in Philadelphia, I opened a restaurant, and we said we're going to put up the most beautiful restaurant, and we're going to serve very inexpensive food. tablecloths, and we're gonna, do $20 entrees. And nobody has ever done it. We're gonna serve hot dogs, in addition to steaks and everything. But we're gonna have and it was a concept that we all thought was great because, if you want to go out on a date and you don't want to spend a lot of money, but you want to go to a beautiful restaurant, that's where you go. And so we spent, money on that restaurant. We built the restaurant from ground up, and it didn't work. We closed within a year. But we started realizing, when people walked in or walked by the restaurant, they looked inside and they said, "Wait, it's a beautiful restaurant. Let's go take a look at the menu." They look at the menu and go, "I don't want to eat hot dogs and fries and burgers. I want to, if I'm going to go to a restaurant as beautiful as this, I want to eat something that's, yeah."
It's like a mismatch.
Yeah. So, the concept that you have in your head, not everybody is going to understand. So you really have to look at what people want. And it's expensive, not just because of money, but because of the time and the
Emotions.
Emotional
investment.
and that was one of the things that I wish somebody had told me before is you're going to fail, in some part of, your career. There's going to be a quote unquote failure. Should never be sad about it or regret it or anything. You always learn from it, you move forward.
Time out. I'm curious. Has everyone in this table had some restaurant failure? Everyone?
Yeah.
Just checking.
In my experience, I've observed from the clients
Weeping on your
and
shoulders.
summing up all of those experiences, I think the fatal mistake that most make is not understanding their operational environment. When I say operational environment, it means the Philippine landscape, government, the people, the market, everything. When operations encompasses everything. So when they just hit the ground running because they have this bright idea, thinking that they'll be the next guy who's lucky as the other one who made it big, I mean that's you're destined to fail. I've seen
a certain amount of luck.
that's where the luck comes in.
I've worked with organizations, companies that have put up concepts with the best people. Did not skimp on expense.
By the book.
Still failed. Yeah.
Did it by the book.
Failed.
Yes.
6 months. But yeah, as a corporation, there's no emotion. So you're not gonna hold on to it.
That's right. So they'll just recoup it and then move on.
Recoup somewhere else. But, I think making mistakes and having failures is
Very
what
humbling.
makes us, also makes us, makes you better. You
True,
kind of have
true.
to make the same mistake again.
And when I was newly graduated from college, I thought I knew everything. I operated one of our French restaurants. It failed, and I realized I didn't know everything. Very humbling, but you have to step back and learn through that experience.
That's better years.
No, absolutely.
I would like to go back, JJ, to your earlier question of
Sure.
what do you think works nowadays?
Uh-huh.
And I think what is maybe a sure recipe for success is your focus on service. Your food can be anything actually. It could be fast food, it could be Indian, it could be fine dining. But what customers I think come back for again and again is service. They will scale a mountain to taste food that they've never tasted before, but it's service that keeps them coming back, even though it's the same food that they're eating.
Right.
We have, I'll share a story. We have customers who they come up to us and they say, "You have to change the menu, or add this and add that." And scratch your head and I ask them, "All right, well, what do you order? I'm just curious. What do you order when you come to Mary Grace?" And they say, "Oh, I get the mushroom cream pasta." All right. What else do you order? Just the mushroom cream pasta.
Creatures of habit.
So it makes us think. All right. Yeah. Exactly. You're a creature of habit, and the only reason I think you're coming back is because you like the service. Actually, we're giving you the same food, but it's the smiles. That make it's the attention, it's the care, it's the sincerity. that makes the food taste better than what it actually is. Because we don't consider, my mother doesn't consider herself chef, and we don't consider our food as like a gastronomic experience. But we think about it as like a home experience where we're given good service. The only catch to that is that it's hard to get service right, because servers, staff, they leave, right? You train them well, you invest well in them, and ironically, that's just what they need to take the next step, to get into a hotel, to go on a cruise ship, to go abroad, and it hurts you because you've invested. But then, what choice do you have, right? It's as Richard Branson said, that if we invest in them, what if they leave? But what if you don't invest in them and they stay? It's even worse. So in our company, it's constant training. We train people who've been with us for 5 years, 10 years. They sit down with people who've just walked in on their first day, so that it's like the experience is fresh again, it's new again. I think that's what it takes, and I think it works. I think you can serve people fish balls, but if the person serving the fish ball has a joke to tell, and he's gregarious and he's sincere, customers will keep coming back.
Because you feel that much more special, right?
Yes,
when you
yes.
leave.
I agree.
Do you find this is a common practice, you think? I mean, I say, of course, everyone has service in the restaurants, but do you find that a lot of your peers put attention into service as well, apart from you guys?
I think maybe that's maybe one of the big mistakes in restaurants, that maybe sometimes owners don't pay full attention to their business. Maybe they set it up, it works, it flies. Then once it's there, okay, we will delegate. I think the two biggest maybe for me, or my biggest challenge for me was the delegation. What's the line, or where's the line that says up to here it's okay, and up to here you have to take over or be there. So I think in our case, or in our group, the one of our pillars has always been to be present in the restaurant, to talk to the customers. Every complaint is a possibility for a loyal customer. I think that humble approach to it really sort of explains and describes yourself and your own way of doing things. Maybe that's...
And just to add to that, for me, it's also all about consistency. In terms of customer service, in terms of food, in terms of everything. Because I know a lot of restaurants who started out really good, and then you wonder, like, 1 year later, whatever happened to that, or how come we never went back? Yeah. So it's all about just maintaining that balance of everything: customer service, food, quality, and then...
Not to be the best, right?
Yeah.
Food is not to be the best, but you're consistent. And I think see that going to a fast food restaurant.
That's interesting. You don't have to be the best.
Not to be the best.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be the best. You have good service. You're consistent with your food.
I agree. In the food courts, service, you might think that it doesn't matter, but queuing time, the responsiveness of the frontliners, the cashier, so it matters a lot, and that's service. And the people in the food courts are just there for a short period of time. They just need to,
In and out.
in and out.
Unfortunately, in the Philippines, customer service still needs a lot of work.
It's still, no? We're still very far
It's,
from...
Very,
cultural
very far
thing.
behind.
culture. Can you expand on that?
Well, kasi, for food is very subjective. Service is not subjective. Service is, it's good or bad.
Yeah.
So, but food is very subjective. With service, that is one thing when I still used to consult for the conception food, they said you can replace the chef if they're following a recipe. Okay, fine. They might be able to get it exactly the way it's supposed to be. It's meant to be. Fine. But with service, it's very, very hard to replace people who know how to actually serve people. Who
The
know-
heart.
Yeah, their heart. People who actually know the regulars by name.
Yes.
And it's it's something that you have to ingrain into yourself. It's a cultural thing. Filipinos are so mahiyain.
But don't you always hear that people say that Filipinos are naturally gracious, or naturally? So that doesn't necessarily follow.
Just laughing.
We would bend our backs to, you know, to
accommodate.
sure, to accommodate
Accommodate,
people.
help.
Whenever
Right.
people are here, we'll take you to the best restaurant, sure. But when it's in your actual restaurant, people who work for you, it's very hard to give them the same compassion that you have. There's still a lot of mercenaries in the industry who wait for the next big thing.
And then skip out when you.
Yeah, because there are a lot of givens. There are a lot of givens in the restaurant industry. Waiters, for example, servers know that, you know what, if I go to this restaurant, I might get the same basic salary, maybe the minimum. But they're bigger, we might get a bigger service charge, bigger tips, benefits. So some are mercenaries, and we have to ingrain in them the. I don't want to sound very messianic or anything, but we have as an industry now, we have to teach people that this will really improve everyone. This will really help everyone if we fix into our culture how to serve properly, how to really serve properly people, you know. And Filipinos also have to accept it. I think as customers also have to accept it. Some people, when they're approached by servers, they freeze up. They don't like waiters approaching them to check on them. If we're on a date, don't bug us, you know. But if you go to other countries, it's very, very natural. It's very normal for them.
Sometimes it gets obtrusive also when you're, and they don't know when to just wait. Sometimes a good waiter is somebody you don't actually notice. You know, they're there when you need them.
Your glass is filled up with
They're
it.
always
Just
filled up,
noticing.
but it's not. You don't notice.
So they're naturally, they have empathy for their customers.
Yeah.
Well,
With
a lot
or
of-
without the owner there.
Yes.
A lot of times I feel the reason why Filipinos, especially service staff, don't understand the service style is because they don't necessarily go through the same
Right.
experience.
They lack that exposure.
So what we try to do is give them a certain experience. For example, like, you know, when new staff members come in, we have them sit down and, you know, we get them served, like, you know, and it's not just a you know, eat all you can kind of thing. You know, it's something that the experience that they go through, an experience that we want them to give to our guests. So that's something that we try to do. And it doesn't always catch on, because some people will understand. Some people are like, oh, it's free food, let's just eat, right? So
Doesn't cascade.
yeah, but you know, what we try to do is partner them with, you know, whether it's managers or even sometimes, you know, HR people or directors, and, you know, kind of sit down together and explain the process of what it is. And, you know, you put a clock in a stopwatch in the front, and order a drink, and it takes a long time. You tell them, okay, you know, see how you feel, like, you know, things like that. And hopefully they can get a little bit out of that experience and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't do that, or I should try to, you know, it's not 100% chance that they're going to understand it, but at least it's a step towards, you know, trying to get them that experience. But I do think that Filipinos are very hospitable, but on the other side, they're also very quick to say we don't have something, or, you know, it could be something as simple as a Coca-Cola, and if you don't have it, they just go, we don't have it, you know, rather than going that extra mile.
Suggestive.
Or even just running to the next, you know, 7-Eleven, I mean, which is hundreds of them around. You know? And that's the kind of things that, you know, as what you said also is, or I'm sorry, you said that there's no more presence of the owners anymore. Like, when the owners are there, they can teach them, okay, you have to do this, or, like, you know, there's a manager there that's going to teach them. Once, after 6 months, they move on to the next project or something. Then all of a sudden they start doing their own thing. So that presence is very important, to keep training them over and over again to say, take that extra mile. You know, so.
You know, I'm sorry, what you saying? You know, we have the times have changed, culture has changed. So, how about my personal experience? We've done all the things we're supposed to do. systematically training. But eventually, yung ginagawa ko is I started this 5-6 years ago. It took a while. And my goal was to give them a sense of self-esteem, sense of security. I know it's a bit more deep than you would want to hear. But believe it or not, it's finally paying off now in the past year and a half. Like, I tell them simple things. Like, if they're on the break, don't go outside, eat wherever under the sun or the rain or whatever. Tao pa. I tell them, you're people. The customers are people, we're all people. I give them, I say it over and over. Don't feel intimidated by other people. Don't feel small. They're just like you and me. I say this all the time in our general meetings, in each branch. Yeah. So they would eat decent table. We have designated tables where they can eat. I don't care if customers are complaining. You have a right to eat there and eat properly. Eat like a person.
Sure.
Don't be shy. Don't be hiding your food or anything. Just out in the open. Eat. Simple things like that. So and also how you talk to people that are upset, how to deal with them. But basically, I'm really happy and I'm really proud of this. I would tell them, don't just propose problems to me. If you don't have a solution, you're in a problem. Propose solutions also. Now if there's a problem, they talk amongst themselves, say, what can we do? But one of the most important things I'm proud of now is that when something goes wrong, they don't deny it until they're deathbed that they have done something wrong. Now they're very out in the open. Hey, sir, I made a mistake. I'm sorry about that. I'd like to, we talk about it to make sure that no one else makes a mistake. Especially if it's a moral mistake also. Sir, I made a poor judgment here. Ganyan. We talk about it, and I think that's something I'm very proud of now. For them to admit, instead of, they'll deny it talaga before. It was so ridiculous. So in the end, I realized, you can go through all this training, but without the self-esteem, without a sense of security. It's useless.
Yeah.
So now they're more honest with the customers, honest with us, with management.
Because what they were used to before is that if I own up to a mistake,
Yeah.
I'm not. Right? So, but if you give them the assurance that, hey, it's a mistake, and if you learn from it, it's okay, then they come out to.
I always
to
say
admit it.
a million times, I'm not asking you so that we can point fingers. I'm asking you so we can discuss it and
Make things better.
I'm not looking to cut someone's head off.
Right.
So it took a while. Pero ngayon, they feel comfortable enough to be honest and open. They have a sense of security now. And I think that it helps a lot with the operations.
Actually, I agree totally, and on what you mentioned that so it's a cultural problem, and then you said that, but culturally aren't Filipinos, known for hospitality and graciousness, and I think that's true. Empathy, hospitality, graciousness. Filipinos are world class, but you also need to understand the flip side of that is that if you don't treat a Filipino with dignity, with yung pagmumukha,
Right.
he's going to show it.
Right.
Right, but if you lift him up,
Right.
he'll give you, he'll give you the best service that you need.
Right.
Right.
That's true.
Let's face it. In the industry, like endo is rampant. Right. We all know what that means. I've met servers who said, "Sir, I'm called already captain waiter, but I'm still endo for the last 10 years." It's ridiculous, right? And within like a certain branch, there's a caste system: the regulars, the probies, the contractuals, the co-ops, and it can't go on like that because the owner will come and say, "We're a family. We're a family. That's this is our home."
That's
But
contradictory.
you're not walking the talk, right?
There's
Yeah,
a
for
disconnect.
6 months we're
We're family, but you're minimum wage.
Yeah, and by the way, your brother gets
Right.
service charge, but you don't.
Right.
Right? But if there's an opening, maybe you can
Right.
make it. And right away, the culture that you're creating is something it's really anti-service.
Right.
It's not pro-service at all.
Yeah.
I established this through leading by example. Like I went against that. Even if it's not enough, 6 months is enough. me and my managers would sit down. We would assess each one. If they're okay, if they're loyal, if they're have a good attitude, the character, I let them. I'm a small company. I could be a big target anytime, any day. But I'm taking risks every day to do this. And I'm okay. If they're performing well, good character, I'll keep them. I have so many employees now. You know, I have an employee that started as a steward, dishwasher. He's a branch manager now. So I let them know. I'm true to my word. How do you say that? I fulfill my promises.
Okay, on that note, are you on a diet? Because there's a lot of food in front of you. Maybe you should get some snacks first. And at this point, we'd like a question from the media who's here watching us. So maybe have a who's. Is there anyone going to ask? But that's true. I mean, I think treating your staff with just that much more empathy and giving them a little dignity goes a long way in their service as well. Yeah. And a lot of people, do you agree with me? But a lot of people who apply for being staff and all that, all the food that you guys serve, a lot of it's alien to a lot of people. Like they don't know how to embrace it, and they don't know how to, that's always difficult. But do you have a question from the yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
I guess the one question, the one topic about that I think all restaurants have to deal with is social media, and that's a fairly new one. And I know everyone has very strong opinions about that. And I guess as a restaurant owner and a manager, do you have to play along, but you also have to not mind it? I mean, I guess how do you play the social media game as far as your diners are concerned?
How do you play the game?
Yeah. Because it feels like it's a game.
It is.
So the question is, how do you play the game? Do you play the social media game? And that's very much Restaurant Life 2017, really. You can't escape social media. So, yes, sir.
I'm sorry if I'm taking it. Because it's related also to what I mentioned earlier. How I don't play the social media game. However way I manage it might be based on our values still. If we do something wrong, I mean we do our investigation, and then if there's something wrong, we'll atone for it. We try to invite them back, whatever the suits to their interests. But if we haven't done anything wrong, I'll still try to find a way to appease the customer. Pero through time, you start to realize the legitimate ones. Those who are
Legitimate customers.
the legitimate
Complaints. Oh, yes.
You know the legitimate customers. Sometimes you know when they're up to something or not, if they're honest or sincere about it. So, I think as long as you stick to your values for it, you'll do fine. You'll do fine.
I think it's inevitable that you have to play the social media game. It's just how you respond to certain things that appear when you're in front of you. So the challenge is to filter as you said, the legitimate ones from those who are maybe trolling or competitors trying to cast ill repute on your brand. Oh, trolling is a profession now.
I mean competitors?
Oh,
It's common,
it's common. It doesn't just happen in the political sphere. It's
Sure.
Like who? Mudslinging. Like who?
I've got them.
Turn off the cameras for a while.
And then a customer came to a restaurant once, looked inside the kitchen and said, "My gosh, did you see what they were doing? They were grabbing the fried rice and putting it on the plate." Telling the other customers. Sabi ko, poison him. How can you say that? I mean, fried rice is so hot and you can put in your hand and put it on.
Someone
can go to the trouble.
They were doing that. I think the restaurant industry itself is one of the hardest service industries. Once you're feeding somebody, once the food gets there, there's instant comment on your food, right? Now with social media,
Before they eat.
everybody else knows.
5 seconds after their first bite, everyone knows what they're
You're
thinking
not just
already.
feeding the guys
Right.
in the store, but they're gonna tell. And they tell more people about their bad experience than the good experience.
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's true.
You're not fair.
You have to, you have to use it as a tool, social media. You have to take advantage of why it's there and how people are using it. If, as you said, Chef, you get real-time feedback. That means there's an opportunity for you to have real-time response also. So once someone tweets about it or puts it on Instagram, if you are able to, if there's a certain grace period that you're able to, to tackle the problem, respond, then you might be able to save whatever happened. If it was a negative connotation.
So would you say having someone solely on social media for a restaurant is something that you have to have
I know companies
right now?
I know big companies actually have 3 people.
It's actually a
for
position
social
now.
media. Just for that.
Just
I
for
know,
that.
Yeah, they need to.
Social media specialist.
Exactly.
It's the guy who knows the password to the account.
We can't be scared of it.
No one else can like it.
Yeah, we can't be scared of it.
It's true. It can be addressed.
It can be addressed. But if you use it the other way around, if you look at the comments all the time, and then you see the negative comment, and then hindi ka makatulog.
Yes.
So forget about it.
Sandy was right.
Yeah,
Please, everyone.
you can't be
It's true.
Cannot.
Yeah.
Actually, if I can present a bit of a contrarian view, well, we use social media. Mary Grace use social media, and we do have someone who just looks at social media.
Yes.
But at the same time, I tend to look at it. I tend to take it with a bit of a grain of salt,
Exactly.
because I did a table of brands with followers and branches, and I don't see any correlation with number of followers and number of branches. So you normally would think that more branches means more customers means more followers, but there's no correlation
Doesn't
at all.
necessarily follow.
Mary Grace has as much followers as one branch in in Capitolio or in Maguinhalo Village, and so that tells me that you have followers and you have your customers, and they're not necessarily the same. Right. So just because I'm on social media, it doesn't mean I'm your customer.
So
And
bigger
just because
numbers
I'm
doesn't
not-
necessarily mean
Yes.
bigger success. in
And
other
people
words.
commenting and liking, they don't necessarily mean that they're your customers. For all
Right.
you know, your customers are not on social media and they don't spend time on social media. And if you were to ask them, hey, can you follow me or can you like? They'll probably think, I'm already eating and paying for the food.
right.
What more do you want me to do? This
Right.
this is how I'm following you. I'm eating in your place, and that doesn't necessarily reflect, in Instagram or in Facebook, because so many people just spend time, on social media, and they're not actually spending money in your restaurant.
Doesn't translate to sales.
It doesn't necessarily translate to sales. I'll give an example. There's a very famous Instagram account that said that a certain product of ours was not masarap. Was not masarap.
What a giveaway.
And it actually, admittedly, it kind of jolts us, right? Because you see it, and it's social media, and it's
Right,
important.
right.
So
It hurts.
we go back and we look at the numbers. We look at the data.
There's also a lot of social media bloggers, all of these bloggers, unfortunately, they get paid to promote certain products, brands, whatnot.
Yeah, so that's right. So we had to look at the data. We were actually not jolted. We had to look at the data and look at the historical trend of a certain product. And it turns out it's doing okay. And we checked with their servers, and they assure me, sir, the regulars just order that all the time, so they like it. So I think as important as social media is, restaurateurs, owners also shouldn't let it rule their lives as if it's the most important data point. Not really. It's just one data point in a collection of many data
It doesn't
points.
move the needle.
Negative
it
or
doesn't
positive.
really
It does
go
not.
to that.
If you, JJ and I were talking about this before. Yeah. If you have if you hold a media event where you invite your social media people, it won't move the needle as much.
I think it depends on who the person speaking is. If it's an influencer, then
Credible. Yeah.
he appears to be credible, not even credible, but appears to be credible, then there's something to that.
But that's correct. It's only one aspect.
The loaded guns in this table.
Gotta read between the lines here.
I think it's as you said. I think it's a tool, and a tool that allows you to engage with a wider spectrum of people that maybe you would not if there's no social media. And I think it's about how you handle social media when it comes to your business. Because at the end of the day, there are trolls, there are this, there are that, there's everything. But I think what social media allows you is to be able to reach and find your target market. And for example, with our social media, the restaurants that we have low number of followers. And we don't boost, we don't do any sort of investment behind the social media for restaurants.
Somebody had to do it once, right?
But we feel that we reach to the audience.
Yes.
And we are able to inform to this target market what we are doing and not, and we see the use of it because they get back to us, hey, I want this. And do you have this? Yeah, okay, no problem. And we have always believed in word of mouth. Our social media is word of mouth nowadays because it is what it is. Correct. But nowadays it is what it is. So it's also like a window shopping sort of speaking. No, it allows you to project what you're doing. And it's a very different strategy with another concept that we have that is more on franchise and a more replicable concept, where we realize there that we really have to invest, and it's like a contradiction to the previous strategy that we had with the restaurant. So I think it depends on the market that you go to, and I think it's more on how you use it to reach your people than how the people judge you.
Right. But of course, it's always difficult.
Through it, you know.
Yeah.
It's true because I think it's part of your group, Tomatito.
Yeah.
I think I heard about it because of social media. I went there because of social media, but I want to go back not because of social media, but because of the fantastic service I had there. So yes, you have to really know how to sort through everything, comb through it. Don't rely on it too much. You can, just to a certain extent.
I think
Out
market
of many
really
factors.
does the same thing.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in the restaurant industry also. People who look through social media not necessarily think a lot of weight to a negative comment. They like it, they'll go.
Right.
And I think truth will prevail. Meaning,
Yes,
you will have
absolutely,
3-4 people, 10, 20 that will bash you, but if 150 will support you, meaning, I think you have to sort of balance and see, do I have to really pay attention to this?
Spoken like a veteran restaurant. Truth will prevail.
Well, because I believed in word of mouth from the very first day, and I think that's what really
Actually,
it
some
is.
who criticize some dish, for example, in a particular restaurant, and he's the only one who criticizes it, and the others say the opposite. Then he loses credibility.
Yes.
He's the one who loses credibility. There's something wrong with your taste. How come majority like it?
Or it's like
You can look at it that
you can also look at it if you say a restaurant is bad, but your interest is still piqued. I would still go anyway. It's like a movie. If someone tells me the movie's bad, but I'm kind of interested.
Yeah.
It looks kind of cool, but I still watch it. Right?
Let me decide.
Yeah, exactly. Let me decide.
I watched Baywatch last week.
I like The Rock. Okay. Wait, we have another media question. So, hello, sir. Is there a... Oh, hello, sir. Also, some illustrious chefs in our audience. Is there another media question from any of you?
Me again.
Ikaw na naman.
Okay. My question is, here's my beef. Okay, what's the question with the soft opening? I feel sometimes it's gone a little
good.
overboard. You know, you see
Interesting.
restaurants na 1 year na soft opening pa, or you know.
Going out of business.
So,
So I feel it seems to be going out of hand, and maybe sometimes the service is sort of half there, but you're still paying full price. So I think there are all these issues coming out, and I think maybe diners are starting to say, wait a minute, what's going on here? So
I just had that conversation with the newly opened place yesterday, actually. Should I do this soft opening? Because I don't get it. That's a good question. So, folks, let's weigh in on the soft opening here.
That goes back into your actual the planning of pre-opening. Most owners don't allocate enough to train your staff before you open the restaurant. So what they do is like, okay, you know, and I understand there's money involved, there's rent and all that stuff, so you want to try and get it open as soon as possible. But in the long run, it's very important for you to invest in proper training and before you open, yeah. And if you don't do it, then you end up doing soft opening, which, you know, you're giving people, and soft opening or not, people are going to show up. Like, when the first day you open the restaurant, if it's a place that people have been waiting for, they're going to show up. And they're not going to be, you know, it's soft opening, I'll give it another try. No, you know,
Unless it's free.
No one holds back these days.
Yes, no one holds back, and no, you know, if you're going to do it for free, then, you know, no need to put it, you know, market it as soft opening. So, to me, I think it's very important that when you actually plan your financial, you know, how much you are going to, your capex, you know, you include that, and you include a good amount of money, like, you know, in your inventories, in your staffing, in your training, because that part is invaluable. And once you open, there are no mistakes. You know, I mean, you know, it's
That's before.
yeah. Exactly. So I think it's very important that when you plan that way, and don't do the soft opening. I'm not a big believer of soft opening, but everybody does it, you know. But when you go in, certain things I understand, like, you know, air conditioner's not working, or, you know, so yeah, yeah, things like that. You know.
Biggest concern.
Yeah.
Kevin, you were
Well,
saying?
yeah, well, for me, personally, given a choice, I do not want to do a soft opening, but I've done soft openings, factoring the rent, the budget, and all that.
Yeah.
And well, one of the reasons why we also did soft opening before is, even though the amount of training we did prior to opening, it still doesn't compare to when you're actually open. It's like you can bring in as many family friends pre-opening, train them, but it's still different once you're actually up and running.
Live.
Yeah, yes, and that's when all the things you never foresee, like before you open a restaurant, you think you already foresaw everything, and then when you open, okay, then
Something always happens.
yeah.
So you know why we do soft opening, right? I mean, ako, dati, you know, I was forced to do it. We all know it's because people are more critical now. It's a way of pacifying if anything goes wrong.
Understand.
Kahit na one little thing goes wrong, they're up in arms. How can you not, you know, fill up your salt or whatever? I mean, soft opening is just a way of buffering it for the time being. Just because you're new on the block, so it's really more become a target. So more criticism, more sensitive.
People are so vicious these days. I think that's the bottom line.
The market is vicious.
Yeah.
It's 1 year soft
Because they have
Yeah, 1 year is a little
They have a voice. Yeah.
stretching it a little too
It's
much.
because they have a voice. That's a very good point. Yes, sir.
Talk on the chalkboards of opening is
Yeah.
stated already. In service, in the length of time before my food gets there, but I'm not forgiving about the quality.
But
The quality of the food.
Of the food.
I mean, that's, you know, first impression lasts, and I
Yeah.
learned that from experience. We had the same concept in the restaurant. We forced the opening of one, and the reputation stopped. You know, the other one is better. The other one, even if we change the cooks, you know, it stopped. So first impression lasts, and that's pretty hard to change. To me, I'm more forgiving, like I mentioned, about service, the length of time it gets to your table, but the quality.
Because you're in the industry, that's your
Yes, probably. Yes, probably.
you take it into account.
But the food is going to make your name.
Yeah.
So you have to be very careful.
Even if it's delayed a bit.
Even if it's delayed, I don't mind it.
But if it's good.
Because people will go back if it's good.
Yeah.
Right? But if this is the taste, then
But you can't bank on just the food anymore.
Huh?
You can't bank on just the food anymore these days, though. Don't you think? There's
We established a system. It's like it's cheating a bit, but it helps. It's in between soft opening and
medium opening, medium hard.
we call it a stress test. We stress test our restaurants. 1 week, I don't tell people. They come in. Once they come in, I invite friends. I invite family. Same thing. Like when you do soft opening, right? When people want to walk in, I tell them, you know what? Don't tell anyone else. I'm gonna feed you for free. So I budget, as you mentioned, it's part of the pre-opening plan.
Yeah.
We budget enough food, inventory, and everything to run the restaurant, actual live running of the restaurant for free for 1 week. And this is when my friends know this, so they text me, "Hey, is your restaurant? Is this branch on stress test already?" I said,
Can you also
"Yeah,
let
okay."
us know when?
By all means, I would love this table to go so they can. This would be the best channel of people to.
Can we go like
will be
every
the
day?
difficult question.
We tell them the stress test is when we get to work out the kinks, right? As mentioned.
We actually do that also. In Bistro, we used to do that. We call it mock service.
Yeah,
so
mock
before there's no soft opening, it's just opening. But like a week before, you do like 3-4 days of mock service where food is free. We half of the menu is available. All the trainers are there, all the new people are there. They're being shadowed. But that's where you really fill up the restaurant. It's all for free.
Yep.
And just run
And there will be walk-ins, and you don't
Oh
know.
my God, it's my first time to hear about this free food. How do we find out about this? Is there a mailing list? Or how do we get on the list?
Like
With our network.
we opened the Shalianis in Mega Mall. It was like 300 seater, and we filled it up. And it was 4 days. There was a gap in between just to reset, and we have technicians there. Equipment's really expensive equipment. Still, those something happens, right? So that's why it's there. But after that, you have a few days to fix whatever.
We have that reset period also.
It's opening already.
Been gun for it.
Yeah,
Gun
1
for
year,
it.
6 months, that's too long.
Okay. Speaking of panels, apparently I have read here that a lot of you are teaching or are going to speak for the restaurant entrepreneurship program here at Enderun. Maybe your thoughts on the relevance right now in 2017 in the restaurant landscape, and if also you can also mention if you're going to speak what exactly you're going to teach in the program.
Well, for me, the restaurant industry in the Philippines has changed dramatically over the past 5 years. It's so different now compared to like 5-10 years ago.
Yeah.
There's so many options, so many new, small, big players, and people are more aware of food. They're more willing to spend for food, in my opinion. And so for me, it's in my opinion, honestly, the restaurant. I love the restaurant industry. It's my passion, but for me, it's not as glamorous as people think it is. It's not.
definitely.
And so anything I could do to help contribute or shed some wisdom, knowledge to some people from my experience. So that's good enough for me. And for my topic, I'm talking about location.
Location.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, okay, thank you.
Nice.
I'll be talking about my experience, failures, my ideas on why I chose this particular kind of restaurant. And I'd like to suggest also to look into things like industry standard percentages as a guide.
Ratios.
Yes, ratios. That's very important. It's like looking at your blood works. If your cholesterol's high, focus on this, Oh, really, food cost, your salaries and wages, there's an industry standard, focus on those things. At least you know what to zero in on. So those are the things that I like.
Not officially, but I cannot say this is a matter of fact. but I think it still holds true today. There was a time when we used to say, "Oh, the industry is the highest failure rate." And although there are a lot of restaurants opening up, I still feel that's true though. I think there are also a lot of closing. You know, we
Yes.
talk about or discuss.
Soft opening and soft closing.
Better than loud closing.
Wala rin may alam. Soft opening, softer closing, di ba? I think there are no statistics out there. But
I think there are more
that's still
closing.
true. That still has the highest
I think
failure
so.
rate. Definitely.
You know, you're right. There are no statistics. And
No
I
studies
always
made.
felt that in like a talk like this, why do you invite people that have made it? You should invite people that didn't make it, because that's where the real lessons are, right? That's where, but except that you're right. It's a soft closing.
Well,
Kunyari,
closing,
walang alam, right?
Maybe they didn't succeed because they didn't know.
Like Resorts World.
Must have, you know, restaurant experience, whether it's failure, whether it's success, whether it's you know, anything that we can share and provide valuable insights to the program. I will be talking about franchising.
Franchising.
I have a fun topic. Mine is negotiation.
What?
With who?
Just negotiating with everyone, landlords, employees, your suppliers, everything. So negotiation. I'm scared because I've been scared every year. Every day when I wake up, I've been my oldest restaurant started 2008. So Pino, Pino's turning 10 next year. It's so funny because when I opened, Swedish chef mentor of mine said, you know, the Philippines is on track to be like how it was in Sweden years ago. Like it might be a bubble already. It's gonna burst anytime. Matira matibay. Only the best ones will be left. Every time I wake up, I'm like, is it today? Is it today? Am I part of that bubble? Am I inside? Am I outside? Okay, I don't know. I have no clue. So I think this course is very important for the ones who want to enter and penetrate the market, because the barriers for entry are a bit low because people now are more well learned in food. People know how to eat now. People know how to do business, and they think it's copy paste. Like, I'll take it from here. It's like a cookie cutter business. I'm very good in this industry. My business strategy might work in the food industry. So, but there still has to be a guiding hand. Gentle lang naman. Very, very gentle guiding hand. Telling people, you know what, you can try it your way, but there are some norms that you might want to understand. Yeah. So negotiation. So,
Talking about the business organization, you have the restaurant idea. How do you execute it? Do you form a corporation, partnership, or do you do it by yourself? And of course, the corresponding implications and effects of those organizations. Comes with the territory.
I think like everyone said, a lot of people know more about food and knowledge-wise and standards-wise and trend-wise is there, and people is more knowledge. But I feel that as years go by, especially the young ones, me included, I think. I feel that the meaning of sacrifice and the meaning of being resilient and dedicated is not maybe as it used to be or how it should be. I think it's a bit distorted because of social media, because of something that comes up and it's extremely successful right away and
Instant gratification.
yeah. So I think that I may be able to help tone down those
expectations.
Lofty.
yeah and somehow say I think you have to be more grounded or maybe the other way around. I think you are too conservative and you should go a bit more aggressive. So I think maybe I can contribute on something like this, because we are all very aware of what's going on behind the scenes or behind the, and we know where the leaks are or possible leaches or problems.
I'll be talking more on the beverage side, which tends to be mostly forgotten in the F&B part. So I'll be talking more about organization of a bar, setting up beverage lists and wine lists, and focusing not to lose focus on the B part of the F&B. So that's kind of
Fun stuff.
Yeah,
That's right.
the fun stuff. Yeah.
I'll be doing menu management and menu development, menu costing, and kitchen design. A lot of people forget about how to actually manage their
And make money off it.
make money off of it. Yeah.
Oh, are we here to make money? Are we just here to cook?
To cry hard tears.
Yes.
Collaborate with a restaurant or bar.
I think I'm talking about the finance. I think part of that is accounting. When I joined our family business, my mother had no income statement, no cash flow statement. Her only statement was bank balance. And that's not something that's consistent, right? Because you can have big purchase for inventory, so the bank balance would shrink. And so I came in and I found out that they were going through like a roller coaster of emotions. One day they're happy when the sales come in, and the next day they're sad that we're not making any money. They're following the bank statement. So I had to come in and put some structure to that. And I think that's actually common, especially since there are many restaurants who started out from a family business or a housewife or someone who's just really passionate about cooking. And I'm not doing the numbers. I'm not making a financial statement. But actually, once you get over that initial fear or hesitation, it's quite easy. Once you see a template, and you'll see that the more detailed it gets, the richer it gets, the financial statement. You'll see a story behind the financial statement, and it can really help you manage your sanity.
I want to take your portion.
It's also surprising that I've seen or I've worked with family-owned businesses, and cannot read a financial statement. They don't know how to.
No, they don't want. They don't even want to.
If they have one, they can't read it anyway.
ROI, depreciation. They're not doing those things.
At the end of the day, they cannot answer whether they're making money or not. Because gross versus net,
Yes.
is Greek to them.
Just check your bank statement.
I, on the other hand, am going to talk about something you all might be interested in. Dinner. We are now concluding our conversation. So thank you for your great insights, and thank you to our audience and everyone, and to Enderun Colleges for inviting us over. And that's a wrap. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll give you my number if you don't mind. Yeah.
Dinner.